heard about a man, a Sufi master living in Jerusalem by the name of Sheikh Bukari, whose family arrived from Uzbekistan over 500 years ago. And I'd like to know more about him. I'd like to know more about his teaching, particularly in the light of the experience of St. Francis and his coming to become himself a person of peace, and the encounter of peace and brotherhood that he had with someone whom others said was his enemy 800 years ago. In the spring of 1219, St. Francis set out for Egypt, for Damietta. It was the camp of the Crusaders who had answered the Pope's call to liberate Jerusalem yet again. And the Crusader army had encamped in Egypt, in an area controlled by Sultan al-Malik al-Kamil. And of course, they looked upon the Sultan as the enemy of the cross, the enemy of Christians. And St. Francis, being somebody who took literally the words of Christ in the gospel, love your enemy and pray for those who persecute you. So this is a moment for him to go and to love the person that others were saying was his enemy. One word that Francis was able to make clear was the word sultan, sultan. And eventually they took Francis, an Illuminato, to meet Sultan al-Malik al-Kamil. Francis probably was expecting to be martyred for the witness that he gave. But instead what he found was a man who lived a very serious religious life and who was interested to hear what Francis had to say. And even more so, the person that Francis was. Al-Malik al-Kamil was himself the disciple of Sufi masters, for whom simplicity and honesty and integrity of life was a sign of the genuineness of who you were as a person and the genuineness of the message that you carried with you. Two men, suspicious of one another at the outset, met and had a meeting of the heart. And regardless of what passed between them, because a lot of that is unknown, we can say with great honesty that they parted as people with great admiration with one another. Perhaps it wouldn't be going too far to say that they parted as brothers, as fellow children of God.
But it's okay, you can practice in the studio. Good, good.
My name is Sheikh Abdul Aziz Bukari. I'm from Jerusalem, from the old city. I'm a Sufi Sheikh. I'm the head of the Uzbek community also in Jerusalem. I'm also one of the founders of Jerusalem Peacemakers, which was doing dialogue between religious leaders in the Holy Land and abroad to find a common ground to help solve the problems in the Middle East, because many people claim that religion is the obstacle, and we want to assure you that religion is not the obstacle. It's also helping to solve the problem.
I gruppi che vanno a trovare lo Sheikh Bukari a Gerusalemme, i nostri giovani, vengono via da casa sua con il cuore dilatato, con questo spazio aperto.
So it's just in the memory of Sheikh Abdul Aziz Bukari that we want to consider our pacemaker
not just in Jerusalem, but also in Trento, and of course in all of our hearts. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to meet you. Would you be so kind as to tell me a little bit about the Bukari family?
هو كان يعني زوجي بيختلف، يعني طبيعته كتير مرح وإنسان يعني لبق. أول شيء هذه بتهيألي هاي الشغلات هي اللي أثرت فيه وخلته يبقى شيخ. تبقى شيخ مش سهل تبقى شيخ. الشيخ لازم يبقى مميز، عنده صفات خلوقة، صفات حلوة، حتى يتميز بهذا، يكون بهذا المكان، يعطي، يحب الناس، يفكر في الناس.
Islam we say assalamu alaikum.
Noi diciamo salam alaikum, la pace scenda su di te. Come musulmani.
In Hebrew they say shalom, means peace.
Shalom, che vuol dire pace.
So you see, we every day we call each other with peace words.
Noi ci rivolgiamo
But to implement that
con parole di
is
pace.
quite
400 years ago.
Really? Really? Yes, I've heard.
For my husband.
Wow.
They wear it for the special occasions.
It's beautiful.
Shaban.
Shapan is what it's called, huh?
Yeah, we call it Shaban. أنا عبد العزيز البخاري. أنا لما بدي أكون في هذا المستوى من السلام، أنا داخلي سلام أنا بقدر أعطيك. إذا أنا بحب الناس، من يحب الله يحب الناس. إذا أنا بحب الله لازم أنا أحب الناس وأعطي الحب. لازم أصبر. أنا ممكن أنت ما تحبني، أنت عدوي، يعني ما تحبني، بس داخلك تحترمني، تعرف إني أنا صح، لأني أنا لما أعطي الإشي بصدق وبحب بقدر أوصل لك إياه، بدخل للقلب. سهل التعامل معه والكل حبه، ما يعني ولا إنسان عرف عبد العزيز إلا حبه.
As a religious leader, I'm a Sufi teacher, but I thought my role as a Sufi teacher not just only to teach about religion, also to help to solve the conflicts.
Quindi
Talk to
apriamo
the others,
le porte,
find a way to
parliamo
make
agli altri,
friendship
troviamo un modo di stringere amicizia
bind it by that friendship,
e
and that all
suggelliamo
the
queste
obstacles
amicizie. In questo
will
modo
disappear.
tutti gli ostacoli spariranno.
This is
each and every one of you is very special.
Meeting people change the world.
And with my specialty area actually being inter-Christian and interfaith dialogue, but at the theological level.
I'm thanking Rabbanita Dina. What she's doing is bring people together, and what you're doing here is far beyond just sitting together in a dialogue and interreligious. There are many interreligious groups. It's not. This really has consequences for our lives here in a total different dimension.
I've always thought about our meetings. What's the purpose? What's behind this? Yes, we're good, very good friends. We became sisters. But what's behind it? And today I more and more realize that everything happens for a good reason and that God works in mysterious ways.
Yes, what I hear from Noah, it's my belief that I'm not talking here about being Druze one. It's a very minority religion, and what I mean the word Druze, what is the meaning of Druze. But I come here to be together, to share memories, to talk about now, what we are doing now, not at the future, and be with my friends. It's a very real friends that make me believe that I have to be unique in my community in Dalet el-Carmel.
Franciscus was the first one that went from the monastery. Instead of building the Christianity in the monastery, he came out to the villages and to the people. And I thought about what you say today, that the sister stays in. And there's two movements in the world, the going out and the going inside. I think it's also in Judaism. And it's funny, you could put me and my sister, and I'm going out and she's going in. Maybe the idea of that women that come from different religions, different cultures, and even in a conflicted country, can share, can be such close friends, and can talk about the conflicts, but in a dialogue, not in a war. Maybe if someone takes something from what we say, or take a small inspiration, so you can never know when it would lead.
As Franciscan, we are here in the Holy Land since 800 years, because the first friars arrived here in 1217. The same Saint Francis arrived here in the Holy Land in 1219, and the pilgrimage and the travel of Saint Francis in the Holy Land was very inspiring for him and for the development of our order, because in that pilgrimage, at that time, the Fifth Crusade was in course, so it was a time of conflict. Saint Francis always thought that there are not enemies. The Sultan Malik el-Kamel was the grandchild of Saladin. So Saint Francis met these men, and they both find a way to understand each other. And both were speaking of their own faith, but respecting the faith of the other.
For me it was very, very important to see the sign of the dialogue, to see the sign of the people can can live together, making something together to build the peace.
Arriving in Jerusalem, I discovered, of course, that the Sheikh has passed away, but his message endures, and it is carried in the persons of his family, first of all, and particularly in the person of his wife, whom I got to speak with for quite some time. And in her sharing, I came to learn not merely something about what her husband taught, but who her husband was, in the effect that his message had on her and on the people who continue to follow his word of breathing in peace, in order that its word of love may be carved upon one's heart, and that may be brought out and shared with other people. People of faith can come together as people of faith, not to fit one another into separate categories, but to see in one another and discover in one another a fellow child of God, someone loved as much as we are, someone who's called to the kind of peace and joy that each of us, that God desires for each of us to have. And can we allow that message to form our hearts too, breathing that in, and then bringing us out into relationship with others. What a wonderful gift that would be for this land. What a wonderful gift it would be from this land out to the rest of the world today. 800 years ago, St. Francis went to Damietta, Egypt, in order to encounter al-Malik al-Kamil, the Sultan. A child of God met another child of God, and in the love they shared, peace was born between them.